everyone, Dave here, and today we're going to be cooking the world's best chewy chocolate chip cookies, at least according to Google. Like always on this channel, we're going to look it up on Google, see what the top search result is, and we're going to try to cook these cookies and see if they really are the best we've ever had. So feel free to cook along with me so you can decide if they're the best in your opinion, or just watch and at the end I'll review them and let you know what I think. All right, so let's first go over to Google and look them up. Putting chewy just to be careful. I don't want to get like some hard chocolate chip cookie, which I don't think there even is one, but it seems to be the way to go. And it looks like the best recipe is from a from a blog called Tasty. 4.8 stars with tons of reviews, so this should be pretty solid. I've went out and I've gotten all the ingredients and I'll walk you through them really quick. We need an egg, flour, baking soda, right? Yeah, baking soda, pure vanilla extract, unsalted butter. So normally you might use salted, this is unsalted. Sugar, I mean, what's a cookie without sugar? Some salt, some brown sugar, we're flying through them. And I got 2 bags of chocolate chips. One is chunks, semi-chewy or semi-sweet chunks, and then one is morsels, because that's what the recipe calls for, a little of each, 4 ounces of each, I believe. So let's get started. This will be a quick recipe and we're gonna find out really fast if we have the world's best chocolate chip cookies, so make sure you stay till the end and let me know what you think. Oh, but first, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications if you enjoy this, and also please hit a like so people can find out more about my cooking channel. I am not a professional chef, so when I make my cooking videos, you know, it's sometimes a fail, sometimes a success, but I hope it's at least entertaining. We're starting off by preheating the oven to 350 degrees, which I have just done. Even though it's later in the recipe, because I usually follow step by step, I figure I'll turn it on now so I don't forget and end up sitting around for 20 minutes later. So it starts off by saying we should mix a bunch of ingredients in a large bowl. I'm gonna use my mixer bowl for my KitchenAid because that way I can put it in there and mix it up once I have the wet ingredients as well. It should just make it a little easier later on. So what it says is that in this large bowl, we're gonna put our sugars, our salt, and our butter all together and we're gonna mix them up. So that's simple enough. Okay, so it says to use a ½ cup of melted butter. I've actually never seen that, I don't think, for a cookie recipe. Generally, I always see softened butter. That may be what they mean. Let me read it. So it's interesting. A lot of the comments do say to only melt half the butter and not all of it because the cookie will be chewier. I feel like we got to follow the recipe to the T, and it says melted, so I want to melt it, but I really don't think I should. But I'm going to do it anyways. And I'll tell you why I was hesitating, because in the past, I have melted the butter for cookies before when the recipe said softened. Softened means you leave it out and you let it get soft. And I've melted it and then I get really flat cookies that don't rise properly. But I probably was a worse cook back then anyways, so we might be all right. Here's the melted butter, we're adding it in here, and hopefully it turns out good, even though I fully melted it. And like I said, I usually would just do softened. But really, who am I to argue with Google at this point? I mean, Google says it's the world's best recipe, so we're gonna trust it. So up next, we need to add a ½ cup of sugar, which I've got my half measuring cup here, and that'll just be a level scoop here. Level it off and add the sugar to the pot. We also need 3/4 cups of brown sugar. It did not specify light or dark. And again, I'm not a pro cook, so I don't even know what the difference is other than one is darker than the other. Maybe they have some sort of flavor difference. Let me know in the comments, guys. What is the difference between a light and a dark brown sugar other than the color? Because I went with light. I don't know. I guess it didn't matter. I actually just asked Tina to order, Tina's my wife, to order some brown sugar, and that's what she got. So there's ½ cup. And does it say packed? Because I packed it. Yeah, packed. In case you didn't know, packed means you push it down so that you can get a lot in there, I guess. So that's packed brown sugar, ½ cup. And then we'll do 1/4 because it calls for 3/4 total. 3/4 of a cup total of packed brown sugar. So there's a 1/4 cup. 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. That's my math of the day. I'm done here. No, just kidding. And then we need just 1 teaspoon of salt. Where's my teaspoon? Right here. 1 teaspoon of salt. Pop that in there. And then actually I have to find my mixer thingy, my paddle for my mixer. So hold on a second. All right, so here's my dilemma. I think technically I should use this to mix these ingredients, but it went through the wash and now it like is leaking. It's not leaking, it's just there's stuff coming off it and I don't know if that's safe to consume and it might get on the food, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna use this one. This one works fine. Okay, now I'm sure this is a bread paddle or something, but it'll do the trick. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on our mixer and then add our bowl to our mixer and do a poor job at it. And yeah, so there we go. So now we're just gonna mix it up. I'm gonna oh boy. All right, so we'll just mix that really quick. There we go. Doesn't take much. Yeah, that looks good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this spatula and I'm just gonna go all the way down to the bottom to make sure that everything's mixed. See, yeah, look at the bottom. I don't know if you can see this, but there's some that doesn't have the brown sugar mixed in, just because it doesn't always get to the way bottom, especially with that bread paddle mixer. So I'll just mix it a little with this, just to kind of make sure it's all well integrated together. This is not like the most comfortable position to be doing this in, leaning over it like that. Okay, so that's the first part. That's your wet ingredients. All right, so up next it says to whisk in the eggs and vanilla. Whisk, I'm gonna use an actual whisk because this isn't really doing much whisking, this KitchenAid. Now we need a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and hopefully I don't go over. I'm usually pretty good at vanilla. All right, so our vanilla's in there, and then our egg. I'm like so sketched out by trying to do an egg right in there because I feel like I'm gonna get a shell in it, so I'm gonna break it into a bowl. Just don't have the confidence. Yeah, there's no shell in there. Oh, and I just spilled the vanilla. I have to spill something in every episode, guys. That's part of my shtick. Add the egg. Bloop. Oh, that splattered me. All right, so now that we got that all done, we're just gonna whisk it together. Whisk, 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 all day long. Whisk, 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 while I sing my song. I'm now doing another Adam Sandler line. That's, what is that? Mop, mop, mop. Is that Adam Sandler? From an old comedy? I think it is. Okay, so that's pretty mixed. What's this say? Okay, so it says, wow, it's really fancy. It says, stop whisking when light ribbons fall off your whisk when you pick it up. Those light ribbons, would you say? I don't know. Yeah, those are kind of like ribbons. I don't know. Should be good. Okay, actually, so I just read ahead. You're supposed to read an entire recipe before you start cooking it. Let me turn off the oven. So apparently that's why they didn't have me turn on the oven, because the next step after I finish all this is to let it sit in the fridge for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna take my flour, 1 1/4 cups. So there's my 1 cup. And let me get my 1/4 cup ready. I've also determined that I didn't really need the KitchenAid mixer for this at all. It was so easy to stir. Don't waste your time with the KitchenAid on this recipe. Okay, so 1 1/4 cups of flour. And with that, we're gonna add in our baking soda. And that's just a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, which I have right here. And again, a lot of the stuff I say is important and tips just come from the fact that I've cooked for my family for 15 years and I've made all the mistakes. And one of the mistakes I've made is not stirring the baking soda. And if you don't get it really well integrated into the flour, if you don't do it separately like this, like you're dry and you're wet, then you end up with cookies that don't rise. So you definitely need to make sure you do your dry, you make sure that your baking soda is permeated throughout the whole thing of flour so that there's, you know, baking powders or soda is what makes it rise. That with salt, but salt's in there, I guess. I think we already added the salt, if I recall correctly. You need to make sure that this is really well mixed, and I think it is. So now we're just, it actually says to fold in the flour with a spatula. This is what I would call a spatula. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna add a little bit, mix it up. Once it's pretty well, oops, flying everywhere because I'm trying to show y'all. Am I Southern enough to say y'all? I don't think I am. I don't think I can get away with it. Let's add the rest here. Just mix that up. I mean, these are gonna be the world's best chewy chocolate chip cookies, according to Google. And I'd be excited if they really were. Add the rest. I kind of want to switch over to like a fork, but I guess I can keep stirring. Let me look. Yeah, it seems like it wants me to keep using the spatula, although I'd prefer to use a fork or literally anything but a spatula, which I never really considered a mixing implement. Whew, that was a workout. So it says not to overmix, because if you overmix, it'll make them too cakey, but I don't think I did. I just got it so all the flour disappeared. I think that looks pretty nice. So that's kind of how it looks. I think it looks good. Oh, I did want to say this. So the recipe called for, and this may be a big deal, I'm not really sure how to proceed. The recipe called for 4 ounces of dark chocolate chunks and 4 ounces of milk chocolate chunks. I could not find the dark chocolate chunks when we looked online trying to buy some chocolate chunks. All we found was these ones. And that's why I had gotten semi-sweet morsels and chocolate chunks. But as I think about it, the bigger part of the 2 options would be the fact that the flavors play off each other. So the fact that I don't have the dark chocolate ones, I might as well just do all chocolate chunks and just leave out the normal chips. So it says to do 4 ounces of each, 4 ounces of dark chocolate chunks and 4 ounces of milk chocolate chunks. Again, since I don't have that, I'm just gonna do 8 ounces of the semi-sweet chocolate chunks, like so. Look how huge those are. Those look good. Yeah, chocolate's good, guys. Big fan of chocolate. I'm gonna mix all this up. Okay, anyway, so these are all mixed in now. So it says to chill them for 30 minutes. It doesn't say to cover them, but I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer, like I should cover them. Now I'll say this, when I try to rate these, I will take into consideration the fact that I don't have the dark chocolate chips, but I also will say dark chocolate is like a weakness of mine, so I may have rated it unfairly because of the dark chocolate anyways. Okay, so those cookies are in the fridge for 30 minutes. We'll come back and we will finish cooking them at the end. While I wait, I'm gonna clean up because I've made a huge mess again. All right, guys, so it's almost been 30 minutes. We're almost there. What I'm doing now is I'm just getting my cookie sheets ready, and it says to use a cookie sheet and then put parchment paper on it, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is. This could be wax paper, I'm not really sure. It's what I found. I don't know the difference, I'll be honest. Normally I would just like, I don't know, it's a non-stick sheet. I normally just wouldn't put anything down, but this says to put down parchment paper. Okay, and in a weird turn of events, I ended up putting this cookie dough in a plastic bag, which I don't think will add any flavor to it. I had to because I had no room in my fridge. It's so full of stuff right now that the bowl was too big to fit in there, so I had to improvise. It says to use an ice cream scoop, which seems enormous to me. But yeah, that's what it says, ice cream scoop sized cookies. So we're gonna do some huge cookies here, I guess, and basically set them apart. These cookie sheets may be too small for this size of cookie. I mean, I'll just not have a ton of cookies on each sheet. 3. I'm gonna have like 6 cookies per sheet. That's okay. The recipe said that you can leave this in the fridge overnight and it's gonna just get better the longer you wait. So that's an interesting idea. If you wanted to really go crazy, you could get this dough ready the day before and then actually cook it the next day. There we go. I found this cookie cutter at an estate sale and it's really old and it doesn't really seem to work that well. I'll be honest with you. I did wash it, don't worry guys. All right, so now we're gonna do them on the other sheet. I knew these cookie sheets were small, which is why I got 2 ready instead of just 1. These look good, I'll be honest. I mean, I just can't believe how enormous it wants me to make them. Normally I make a lot smaller cookie. And I am sad that I don't have the dark chocolate chunks. One day I'll have to try it with the dark chocolate chunks. If you guys try it with dark chocolate chunks, let me know how it is. 3 and, okay, so it's gonna be the last one. This is actually gonna be the perfect size. So it's kind of just right. Look, used it all. All of it's gone and we've got 12 giant cookies. Now I'm hoping these have no calories, but I feel like they might have a couple. Okay, so there's a little bit of an unrealistic expectation in this recipe. It says you need to leave 2 inches from the side of the pan and 4 inches between each cookie. I mean, I don't know what to do. Maybe I need a different cookie sheet. Let me see, I'm gonna try this because I'm not following those prerequisites properly with this pan. This isn't much better though, honestly. Yeah, I mean, who has a cookie sheet that big? We're just gonna go with it. I think that's okay. This one has more space, so at least this one will potentially look right. I think I'm gonna have to do them one at a time because I don't want to crowd the oven. So I'm just gonna put in the first batch and cook that and then we'll do the next batch. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dave, there's 2 racks in your oven. You can just put one on top, one on bottom. Every time I do that, one or the other cooks poorly. So I'd rather just do it in stages and just do one then the other. If I put one at the bottom rack, that's gonna burn on the bottom. If I put one up high, it's gonna burn at the top. So for me, it's just better to do round 1, round 2, and that's how it is. So we'll be back in, how long has it gotta cook? 12 to 15 minutes to see how they came out. All right, so these cookies should be done. Let's pull them out. It's around 15 minutes, I believe. So let's take a look. All right, here we go. I mean, they're pretty epically huge, which we had predicted. It says to let them cool completely. I kinda wanna lift one up and look at the bottom and just make sure they look done. So let me just check here. Look at this, see, this is why I don't use parchment paper. It's actually not wanting to come off. This might be wax paper. That might be where I've gone wrong. I'll be honest, it doesn't look fully done. I think they need like another minute or two. Okay, but based on that result, I don't think I'm gonna use this paper on this next batch. I think maybe this is wax paper. Maybe that's what's going on. This is a non-stick cookie sheet, so I don't really see why I need the paper at all. So for this next one, I'm going to remove that and just cook it like that. Because I'm not really happy with how hard it was to try to remove that cookie, and I feel like the cookies are gonna kind of fall apart if I do it with the paper again. So hopefully this next batch comes out a little better. I'm gonna leave those in for like another, I don't know, 60 seconds, and then we're supposed to let them cool. So there's a lot of waiting, guys. I'm really excited about these cookies, but there's a lot of waiting. And there's a couple of special guest judges that really wanna try them too, so as you can imagine. Okay, so they're out. I think they look done now. It says to let them cool completely before eating, which what is the point? If I wanted a cold cookie, I'd buy it at the store. That's just the way I look at it. So let me get one, I'm gonna try it. Okay, so anyways, let's try to get one off without it getting torn up. Hey, not bad at all. Came off. Actually, maybe I'll just take them all off right now. These are really quite ginormous cookies. I don't think I've ever made a cookie this big, but I've definitely had cookies this big. I do say that my concerns about the cookies not rising may have been for naught, because they seem to have risen perfectly fine. Here's your cookies, looking delicious. And now we're gonna try it and see if it really is the world's best cookie. I'm just gonna cut a little piece off here. Wow, that looks pretty good. Here we go. I'll be honest, that one's undercooked. Just a little bit undercooked. See how you can see? It's too undercooked for me to really enjoy. Let me see if they're all like that. No, this one's a lot better. Okay, so we'll try this one. That one must have just been a little too thick or in a bad spot because that one wasn't cooked all the way through. Let's try this one. Round two. It's actually very chewy, like way chewier than any chocolate chip cookie I had before, which does tell me that that chewy modifier in my search did make a difference. And I actually just went and looked, and if you don't type chewy, you do get a different recipe. So we could try that other recipe on some future video, but these are very chewy, and I got chocolate all over my fingers, and they're very delicious. So yeah, I mean, this one was undercooked, but that's not a big deal. So I will, I mean, I don't really know what you could do. I guess if you added the dark chocolate, I think it would be even better. So this is probably like a 9 out of 10. And then with the dark chocolate, that's probably what makes it like the best in the world. So yeah, I think this is a pretty solid recipe, but I have 3 guest judges who just keep peeking their head around the corner because they want to try them. So I'm gonna get them in the video and then they can tell you what they think. So yeah, I mean, I would say I just cut into a couple of the cookies. So you probably want to do like 17 minutes if you're gonna make them that big. All right, girls, come on. Callie, Annabelle, try these. These are supposed to be the best chocolate chip cookies in the world, and you're gonna be the judge and let us know if they are. So go ahead and try them. In the whole world. They're thinking. Let them eat it.
Good.
You don't like them? At all? Or they're just not the best in the world?
Not the best in the world. No.
What's wrong with them?
The chocolate chips. Like dark chocolate.
Okay, interesting. Well, it's not. It's semi-sweet instead of milk chocolate, but I think semi-sweet's what everyone uses in cookies. It's probably just because there's so much chocolate that it's overwhelming. Like all you taste is chocolate?
No, it's just that it tastes like dark chocolate.
Interesting, it's not dark chocolate. What did you think, Callie? You think it's good? She's eating it all. All right, so Anna, what do you give it out of 10?
5.
A 5 out of 10. And Callie, just hold up fingers. What do you give it out of 10? She gave it an 8. She gave it an 8 out of 10. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.